Welcome back to Realize Your Potential with Mike and Travis. This is part 2 of our episode on pandemic prospering, how to find success in spite of COVID-19. Now, we left off last time, Mike took us through like how the heck he's got like 97 jobs during the pandemic, started his own business, got kids running around. Cyrus about to get broke off because we got to give him some royalties because he's in the background getting it in, you know what I'm saying? And we talked about mindful meditation and the practice of the action step of really breathing, putting your hands there, really getting in sync with yourself and really getting centered. So we talked about that. And then we also talked about who you surround yourself with and making sure you surround yourself with the right people and people that can help you and really help you through your dreams. And so now we're going to pick up and talk to Mike a little bit about the successes and maybe some of the learning opportunities that he's had as he's kind of stepped out on this new venture. So Mike, tell us a little bit about how is it going? I mean, you're really doubling down on this. Talk about what you've learned and talk about the successes that come from it.
Sure. I think what I'm learning is being able to identify when my energy is low and I become content in terms of what's going on. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And sort of, I mean, not necessarily losing sight on what a chain of events like I need to be continuously working on. But again, when you have a lot going on, it's much harder to stay focused. You know what I mean? And so again, what's been working for me is who is around me, who do I trust, who is giving me solid feedback. Again, I always appreciate you, Travis, for being there to help a brother out. But also,
that's what it is. That's what it is. You know what I mean?
Sure. And my wife is definitely that person, but also there's some ladies who are at my office space who are in the same suite as me.
Okay.
Who, and again, here's another example, dude. Like we've recently, as of 2 weeks ago, have gotten together, started a consultation group with each other to talk about our practice, you know, and we're all individual business owners, you know, so, but it's talking about, you know, what are you working on? What's working? You know, these are the things we need to be mindful of when it comes to the operations of our business, but also the clinical part of our business. So, and again, it's surrounding yourself with like-minded people who you trust, and who you can be vulnerable with, right? To sort of share what's going on with you and, you know, allowing space for feedback, of course. And sort of knowing what to sort of pick up and what to say, maybe that doesn't align with sort of my values, my acquired values, et cetera, right? So, but yeah, man, it's staying focused, surrounding yourself with folks, but taking care of yourself, which is paramount right now. So yeah, I love that you doubled down on that. So Mike, there's a lot of people right now who are dealing with like failure, right? So something didn't feel like it's going the way that they wanted it to go, whether they lost their job or they were trying something that didn't work out. In this new venture, I'm sure there were times where, man, something didn't go the way it was supposed to go. Like, can you talk to us a little bit about one of those times? And then what did you do to make sure you got through it? Sure. I know for me, I'm aware of when things start to get sort of stagnant, I know what then I need to do, right? But the important part is to identify this is what's going on right now, right? And then sort of knowing about what then I need to do, right? So, and for me, it's about putting my energy out in the direction of what it is that I want to accomplish, because I know that's what works for me. So, I mean, just yesterday, like I'm in my office suite, I'm sort of mapping out what my referrals have been since January and sort of capturing what that looks like what are the metrics around all this other stuff, which is not a strength of mine, but I'm moving my energy in that direction. So I mapped everything out and sort of started to get insight around where do I need to focus my energy that hopefully would result in me putting myself more out there to be able to help more people, So I did that yesterday, which was a basic mapping out on this board that I have of my referral sources, what energy I was moving during those different months and what that looked like, and just sort of reflecting back on that and identifying what am I doing different now that maybe I need to duplicate that was working prior, right? So, and for me specifically in the business that I'm in, it's about how do you continuously evolve with one of the referral sources to put yourself out there to where people are going to reach out to you and basically have conversations with them about, what's going on with them, what do they need, and how I can be helpful, or also identifying that probably not the right person, and then how do I refer them out to another therapist that might have a different skill set than mine that might be a better match, so.
Yeah, no, that's really good insight. So it looks like you dealt with your problem head on. You found resources around you, and then if you couldn't handle that issue or problem, you said, okay, who's the best person to really be able to do that, right? And that I think that's amazing, man. That's great insight.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I think people are really struggling with right now is the motivation. The motivation to keep it moving, right? How do I get out of bed in this time period, right? There's a lot going on. I mean, the pandemic, the election, social unrest. I think just the motivation for people to say, I'm going to get out of bed and I'm going to do these activities.
It's heavy right now, man.
It's a heavy time. At least in my lifetime, never been a time like this, right? But I really want people to take away this third point as well, because I think this third point is how you move forward. It's how you get the motivation to do what we're talking about here. And I call it PPA. Passion, prepare, action. What are you passionate about? Find it out, figure it out, be focused on it. Prepare for that. So do you got to go back to school? Do you have to take a trade class? Do you have to do what do you have to do to prepare to work in that passion? And then action steps. You have to move. You can't just sit there. You can't just wait around. You have to take action. I think if you keep PPA in mind as you're trying to find the motivation to move through this really heavy, unique time, I think you'll find that you'll have more success and your goals will be right there for you to grab.
And just to add something, Travis, it's easy for us to say that, but I think the important part to share with people is if you're passionate about something and you really haven't discovered that yet, if you need to prepare for something and you really don't know how to go about doing it, if you need to take action, but you really don't know what the action steps are to do that, sit with being uncomfortable. And I think that's one of the things that people avoid is they don't want to have this sort of uncomfortableness around people giving them feedback or not knowing what the action plan is. Sit with the uncomfortableness and head on, because that is going to, hopefully it's going to propel you forward, whether it be, you're uncomfortable with getting feedback from people. Well, put yourself in a situation to where someone is giving you uncomfortable feedback, right? There's an opportunity there. If you don't know how to action plan, check in with someone around who you feel like might know how to action plan, which again is allowing yourself to be vulnerable, to get feedback, et cetera, right? So I think, of course, it's easy for us to say that, but the important part is we're comfortable with the uncomfortable in terms of folks giving us feedback or giving us insights that we might be missing, you know what I mean? And sort of just being in that vulnerable space, which I know is difficult to do. So.
Man, you nailed it. Being comfortable with being uncomfortable is something that I know I talk about with my sales teams all the time.
Yeah.
I think there's another piece to this. It's kind of like a tag on to what you just said, which is a lot of people right now are trying to live life as if nothing has changed, right? And so they're struggling with living in a new reality. You
Yeah.
have to adapt. Look, specifically, we made a decision. Hey, we're not going to edit and cut this thing and cut out life. You know, if Cyrus is in the background or there's, you know, people, you know, doors opening and closing out throughout the house, because guess what? That is the reality of life today.
Yep.
Right? And so the idea that life isn't going to happen and you're going to get back to where you were is really a fallacy. You got to find a way to adapt so that you can survive. And when you do that, you will find success. When you stop trying to put yourself back into a box that no longer exists, you're going to find success. Well, Mike, we did it again.
Hey.
Nailed it. You know what I mean? Like, folks are going to just have to be like, these guys are nailing it out here. No, man. Thank you again for being my friend, my partner in this endeavor. Thank you for everything that
Back to you.
that we're doing and that we're going to do together, man. I'm really excited about this endeavor. Folks, the 3 takeaways are right here on the screen. Please write them down. Take a picture. Do whatever you got to do to put those into your head. But it's more important than writing them down in a notebook that you're never going to look at. Is please take these 3 action steps and actually action them. Because I think if you do that, you're going to find success in spite of COVID-19. And then you're going to be out here powered by this pandemic and giving you that energy that you need, that real PPE. You know what I mean? So thank you, everybody. Please subscribe, like all of our social media. Information is in our description. Hopefully we could helped you with a little bit of insight on being the best version of yourself. And if you need further assistance, please look at our website, www.realizingnow.com. www.realizingnow.com. And if you need help with anything, we're there for a free consultation up front to maybe help you get through this time, but also help set you on your path to success. Thank you so much, and we'll talk to you next time.